Hi and welcome back to yet another video of this Kotlin series. So today we'll be looking into nullability, which is a prime feature of Kotlin language. So basically, what what is nullability, how we can deal with nullability in the programming or in our code. So today we'll be talking about that. And what happens is that in normal programming, let's say you have a variable which is null, and then you try to use somewhere like try to fetch some specific property from that reference. So what happens is that the system or the application throws an exception named as null pointer exception, which is very common, and it can make a huge impact on the app if it's throwing exceptions. So basically what Kotlin did, Kotlin provided nullability as a basic feature of the Kotlin language, and just to help the developers get rid of some boilerplate code having conditions over each nullable variable, and then also during the development asking the developer to make sure that things are not null. So we'll be talking about this with examples as well. Now let's say normal Kotlin language. Let's try to build another REPL. Let's say we have a variable, maybe we can name it R, and it should be an integer. And now if I try to assign a null value, let's say I assign a null, and I try to execute the specific line, you can see that we got this error. So basically what this error means, null cannot be a value of a non-null type int. So right now you can see that this int means that this variable is not nullable. So if you have some, like, definitely when you are developing stuff, there will be scenarios where you'll be having nullable stuff. So how are you supposed to handle that? So for that, what Kotlin do is Kotlin provides you nullable expression, and you can add a question mark after the data type whichever you have used, and then you can assign a null value to that. So let's say if I try to execute this one, it will work fine because now it says that it's a nullable. Now let's say I use the same variable and then I press enter. What I did is I actually created a variable which is a nullable, and I assigned the value as null for now. And then what I did is I type in r.toByte. So if I do this, you can say the only safe or non-null, it means that this will not work because it's a nullable thing, and we are directly trying to do some stuff over this variable. So in normal Java, if we are using Java, what we used to do is we basically used to add a check over here. So let's say if r not equals to null, only then we can use it. In Java, this should have been executed, but with Kotlin, basically Kotlin provides, like, if you add a question mark while trying to fetch the result of this value, you can basically add a check to this. So let's say if I do this, it says that now it is being converted, the property is still null, and it is a nullable byte as well. So basically what happens is that this r question mark dot helps you to fetch a nullable value, and now it won't, you don't need to add checks like if it's null, not null, do this stuff. If it's null, then don't do that. So let's say this basically makes sure that you don't get a null pointer exception over here. So this is how it helps you. And now let's say we have one more condition, and we want to assign this specific r. Let's say we have this thing, this is a nullable variable, and now we want to assign it to a non-null variable. Let's say I have an n variable, and I want to have it as non-null, and I want to assign R to this. Now if I do this, what will happen? Definitely it will say that you cannot use a nullable integer for a non-null integer. So how am I supposed to do that? So if I want to do that, what I'm supposed to do is mention a default value. Let's say it's just a if condition. Basically what I did, like if R is not null, assign R, else started with 0. So basically this is some default value. If to assign a default value, what we need to do is use the variable that we want to assign if it's not null, and then else you can assign a 0. So basically, so that way it will just mention that what happened. Now if I try to execute this, it works fine. Now let's just try to print it, print the result and see what is being printed for n. So we got this thing. Let's press enter. Now you see we got this 0 over here. Now let's say I assign a value for R like 10 maybe. So now we have this R which is not null, so it means that n should get the value of R rather than this default value of 0. So if I try to execute, you can see that we got this 10 in place of 0. So this is basically how this stuff nullability works inside Kotlin. And then this, in the last, let's say you are sure that this R value is not null. Like definitely in some scenario you want to use you have the surety that this thing is not going to be null. So for that you can use this double exclamation mark operator, which basically says that this value is not null and it is a surety. So if I try to execute it this way, it will still be 10. Now let's say we have a scenario where you have used this double exclamation mark, but you haven't actually assigned anything to this, like it's still null, but over here you have used this double exclamation mark, and now if you try to execute it, it will print a null pointer exception. So it is basically a normal null pointer exception scenario for you. So normally this double bang operator is not recommended to use, but there can be some scenarios where you are supposed to use this. So this is how you can use it. And just make sure that when you're using, you know that the variable that you are using for is already initialized, else try to avoid this and go for the default values. So this is it for nullability, and we'll try to do something else in our next video with the Kotlin basics. Stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe.